So LinkedIn recently did a whole redesign. If I'm coming out of college, I'd want to be there. You got probably an organic coffee shop, a deli, and you got this nice little patio, kind of a French gardens of sort. This is killer.
Have you heard of the Expensify Luxury Lounge experiment?
What they wanted to do was bring office workers back to the office. So they had a genius idea of making an ultra Uber work/lounge that they dropped a cool $250 million on just 2 weeks ago. The company behind that lounge closed it down. They had fresh cappuccinos served. At 5 p.m., they would do a saber of champagne to
Well,
toast.
forget about it. People were not working. They were having fun.
What struck me, WeWork announced.
No way.
You're listening to
Welcome to What the Tech, your gateway to business strategies and tech secrets shaping today's workplace. You know, Dave, I was listening to a podcast from Steve Bartlett, The Diary of a CEO. I don't know if you've caught that podcast before, but it's fascinating. He had Michael Easter, author of a book. I want to say it's called The Crisis of a Comfort or Comfort Crisis and Brain Scarcity. He talked about a lot of fascinating things, but in there, they were talking about productivity, and how productivity in the office is diminished by noise. And he was talking about it from like a historical context. But get this, that wasn't even the most interesting part. The most interesting part was he was talking about the stress that the workers feel and is expressed as a result of noise, distractions inside an office. And you're specifically talking about open office environments where, you know, there is no blocking of noise. It's just there. Right. Everybody's talking about it. But what he also said that was fascinating was that workers who even self-reported that they had no problems with other colleagues in an open office environment in terms of noise levels, when they were measured, the cognitive stress load that came as a result of that was measurable. So even though they didn't feel like anything was happening, there was actually a measurable result that actually occurred from noise and distraction inside a regular office.
Hey, you know, it makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to complain, so maybe that was folks that were like, you know what, it's background noise. I'm stronger than that. I can block that out. But it's interesting that even those people that that just fight to stay in their own lane and focus on their own business, even they're being affected by it.
Well, you know, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to our guest today, who has a ton of experience on the enterprise side, talking to clients and what the user experience is like, what can improve the user experience. So I'm like a sponge today. I've got my notepad here. I'm ready to go. I can't wait to see what she has to say. And we've got a couple of things that, you know, I'd love to get her reaction on some videos. So if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube or else any other platform, I invite you to use your headphones because we're going to present some videos as well as some sound effects, and you'll get the full experience if you have something like headphones or something plugged into your ear. Now, Dave, you know, I want to give some big props before we bring on our guest. We had on Mr. Sandeep, formerly the president of BlackBerry. He had a stint there. He was wonderful, talked about his time at BlackBerry, talked about his experiences growing a smartphone company like Ericsson that became Sony Ericsson and competing in that space prior to the iPhone taking over, the development of Bluetooth and the origin stories. He corrected me several times. I wanted to give him the moniker of grandfather of Bluetooth, but he said, no, I can't take credit for that. I was on the team. My boss was the one that actually put in all the work into that. And, you know, the other person we want to give big props, big props is Miss Helen Polisi, TikTok. She wouldn't call herself a grandfluencer, although that's the thing that's coming out. That's the new phrase there. I don't think of her as a grand influencer. I think of her just as a straight up influencer, just crushing it today. So she still is one of those people you got to keep an eye out on because she is really doing some just amazing things on TikTok with almost 1 million followers.
Yeah, that's crazy. And listen, if you want to check out these episodes, both of these can be seen on our website, circuitloops.com, or of course you can find them on our other socials where we're putting out shorter content, easier to digest. But if you want to check out these two interviews, check them out at circuitloops.com.
All right. Let's give a proper introduction to Madame Ophelie Harbonnier. Hopefully, I am not butchering it. And if I am, when she comes on, she can smack me down and correct me on my pronunciation. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Our guest hails from Poly, which is now HP, which used to be at some point Plantronics. So Poly, an HP company. She's a true luminary in the field of user experience, renowned for her mission to redefine interactions with technology. Her extraordinary journey is a testament to her ability to simplify complex technology, translating it into accessible and enjoyable experiences for all. As a seasoned presenter, coach, and trainer, she works with organizations to help them with technology devices and deploy them with platforms that are very popular, like Microsoft Teams and Zoom. So join me in inviting and bringing out the guests out of our green room. Ophelie, come on out of the green room.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour. Tell us where you're joining us from today.
I love my introduction. It made me feel super special. Oh
We
my
love doing
goodness,
that.
what a gorgeous. Thank you so much. It was really, and you did it all on your own. I
Oh.
didn't write anything down for you. You just
You know,
did it. So wow.
We
Thank you.
did, and we had some help from somebody internally that we call Eddie. Eddie is our Chat GPT. We call him Eddie. To say Chat GPT is just too hard on the tongue, and around here we call it Eddie. And Eddie helps massage the words that we have. Does a really good job writing. So I can't
Sure
take
did.
all the credit. I can't
You need an
be
Eddie.
honest and take all the credit.
Well, it was fantastic. I felt definitely flattered. So thank you very
Awesome.
much for the introduction. Thank you for having me on the show.
We are so honored to have you on the show today. We want to dive into a number of things with your expertise today. Talk about what is it like in the office? You know, the office today. If you and I were sitting down in 1945 and talking about the office, the experience is going to present itself in a certain way. If we were talking about the office in the 90s and what the office means, we would talk about it in a certain way and what it means to people in the office. And now, today, the office really means something different than it did in all those eras. And so that's why we wanted to chat with you, because there are some things that are just happening really fast right now with what the office should look like, what should it be in there, what the experience should be like, what are users saying that they like or don't like. And we found some amazing examples that surprised us when we're talking about user experience. What is surprising you today when you talk to folks about the office experience?
Well, now that people are started coming back to the office, they're really expecting the office to have the same simplicity of use that they have back home, right? They were so comfortable working with their laptop and maybe a little camera, maybe a headphone. Sometimes they didn't, but at least they were in their environment. There was a laptop that they know, and coming back into the office with maybe certain meeting rooms with technology that is, from what I hear, sometimes just not even inviting visually because you have cables all over the place. You don't trust that it's going to be working because other people have been using it before you and maybe they unplugged something to change the source on the screen. There's a lot of apprehension going back into the office for that. You know, a lot of people don't trust the technology because they feel that it's not going to serve them.
Interesting.
So that's one thing. But at the same time, people need to get back into the office because of that social aspect of connecting with individuals, just having a coffee and talking about other things, you know, other than work. It's just very beneficial.
Sure.
Do
Well, do you see
Go ahead,
a
Dave.
change with kind of the modern office design? You know, so we're trying so some organizations are trying to accommodate a future a worker from the future. You know, it's 2023. It's not 2020. They're trying to give people productive spaces. They're trying to lure them in. Have you seen any changes with the modern office layout and design?
Absolutely. One thing already, I mean, this is going back to what you were saying, bro, about, you know, like going back into the office, but being interrupted all the time. And it takes that scientific proof is that 23 minutes of getting back mentally into what you were doing when someone just walked by, And if you don't have a headset on your head, because that's a sign that you might be in a call, if you maybe just like reading something, they're going to come up to you and start saying, hey, did you watch the football game last night? Did you watch the basketball game?
Mhm.
You know, like, yeah. And then you start being dragged into that conversation and you forget what you were doing. And then maybe you might be switching to another email or to something else. And as we say in French, there might be holes in the racket, which means that you might have made some mistakes in what you were doing because of that interruption. And it is definitely stressful. So, what it is that you can do to prevent that from happening is definitely to have a visual cue to the people around you, like a headset, right, over your head.
For
Sometimes I
sure.
just have one. I don't even, I'm not even on a call, but I just don't want to be interrupted.
It's a nice indicator.
I'm in a
Hey,
call.
and you know what? You touched on something, so I just want to break into it here. So you mentioned, switching from one task to another.
Yep.
The Harvard Business Review did a study recently that revealed some pretty interesting facts. Employees can switch between 22 different apps nearly 1,200 times daily. That
Wow.
mental juggling takes a huge toll. It increases stress, it slows productivity, it undermines focus. So now enter global tech worldwide. 2 decades of experience in business communications. They've mastered the art of unifying communication tools from voice to SMS, video, email, and more. And by integrating these disparate systems, they cut through the clutter efficiently and helping to reduce the effects of context switching. So if you're ready to liberate your team from that toggling tax and supercharge your efficiency, check out global-tech, that's TECK.com, and book an appointment and consultation so that they can see if they can help eliminate those effects of context switching and do some consolidations on your communication platforms. But
Wow.
yeah, going in between, one item to the next, if one of those things is a coworker interrupting you to see if you watched the big game last night, it's like, hey, just because you have nothing to do doesn't mean I want to be interrupted. But now that you've interrupted me, it's going to take me 15 minutes to refocus on the task at hand. Yeah, those sort of distractions, I can see how leaving a headset on and almost pretending like you're on a phone call when those people walk by, that might help. You know what's funny? We used to sell busy lights. So within the office,
I know those.
uh,
I was gonna talk about those, the little cubes,
Yeah,
right?
go ahead.
That
yes,
show the color of your status. It used to
Do
be
it.
something on Skype, and now you can still some of us still have those. So it's when it's red, you know that the person back there you just like cannot talk to because they're in a call. Yes, that's what you were talking about, Dave, right?
that's what I was going to talk about. But in my opinion, in my experience, you could have 9 strobe lights that are saying do not, do not, do not. People that are going to interrupt are just going to stand there and wait and watch for it to turn off.
All right.
But
So here is actually one thing that you guys can do, and that is
Is this a
something
pro
that,
tip?
yes, absolutely. Pro tip. There
Get
you
ready for a pro tip.
is to it's to equip some very small areas with video conferencing units, and it has, we call them like a phone booth. They could be called bubbles or whatever you want. They're tiny areas that nobody's gonna really like knock on the door to bother you because you're really in there on your own and you're really nicely focused on what you have to do. All right. So of course, I'm in the from the Poly House, and we have some really awesome devices to help you, being productive in small areas, even though you don't have like perfect lighting, or maybe you want to stand up and still be visible, uh, even though you're standing up and without readjusting the camera angle or the screen angle. So if you want to check out, I mean, hey, you gotta give it a shout to some of my products. The P15 is really great. It's a collaboration bar that gets its intelligence from being plugged in to your computer. It has an awesome camera. You can even actually use it with a couple of people. And trust me, when you're in those bubbles, you're really safe from a horde of those
Mm, mm.
15 coffee
That-
breaks
And
a
we've seen
day
some of
because there's a
those.
horde.
Yeah, and so I just want to remind you because I love the suggestion on the P15. So the P15 is a wonderful, it's a huge upgrade. Thank you, Ori. It's a wonderful camera, and if you want to check out reviews on that, we did deep dives on it, how it works, what you look like, what you sound like, and how to get the best view on that. Because there's some tweaks with the software that will take the actual viewing experience from ordinary to extraordinary. So you don't look blown out and washed out when folks watch you on camera. So go ahead, check those out. And if you hit rewind a few times and you got to go through it play by play or step by step, that probably will up your game when you're on video. So thanks for that reminder. I love that.
Yeah.
Check out those
Thank you.
episodes. So
But-
one of the things that you're hitting on is that new experience. Had like a phone booth where you can essentially be left alone, so you don't have the experiences Dave was talking about
Yes.
in an office. And I know that in an office, yeah, like this right there, there's no it's semi-private. These offices look great. They look awesome. What we uncovered were some things that really surprised us when it came to different offices. So LinkedIn recently did a whole redesign, and who wouldn't want to work in an environment? I mean, it's just, I can imagine if I'm coming out of college, I'd want to be there. You got and probably an organic coffee shop and a deli, and you got this nice little patio, kind of a French setting, French gardens of sort. This is killer.
It's
But
a beautiful space.
It is beautiful, beautiful. You know what struck me was what happened earlier this week. WeWork announced they were going bankrupt. I don't know if you caught that.
No way.
Yes, they filed for bankruptcy. And what's surprising about that? Yes, I know. What's surprising about that? Ori, go ahead and put up some of the images there from WeWork offices. I want you to tell me what you're seeing here, because what happened to WeWork? What happened to WeWork? They received $10 billion in investment. The biggest contributor was SoftBank, along with some of the other investors like Benchmark Capital, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, to name a few that went in and invested. Look at these offices.
Ultra modern.
Ultra modern,
beautiful.
ultra luxurious, but still, even with all that backing, I've been in them and I loved going in. I've had clients that had office spaces there. They're just uber luxury. Everything that you think an office worker wants, whether it's super casual, ultra luxury, couches, all the things that people have been talking about the last few years that they want in an office, WeWork had. You could pour yourself a beer or a drink. Now they're bankrupt. What say you about that? I know it's there we go. And there's the stock price as of a couple of days ago. It hit 84 cents. They actually did a reverse split of 40-1 to
That's
try to keep,
incredible.
because they have to, their stock has to be $1 to stay on the New York Stock Exchange. So they did a reverse split. And so you could see that they were valued at $47 billion, and now they're a fraction of that.
I could imagine a couple of reasons why that happened. Number one would be that companies like had a procedure and process for people to have to go back into the office at least 3 days a week. That could be one thing. No longer like working 5 days a week at home. I know that with HP, this is what happened. People didn't want to work from home, but then they had to because of COVID. And then they got used to that routine and they didn't want to go back. So then the company had to implement the setup of people having to get back into the office, according to whatever the needs that they had. That's one thing. People going back to the office. So you have that rent that is expensive when you're in a large office. You need to make it work. So, but if you don't force people, quote unquote, saying, okay, you need to be in the office at least, a couple of days or 3 days a week, they won't go back. All right.
Right.
And one thing that I saw.
And what do you think that is? What do you think that is? So now people, you said things changed. This is,
Yes.
early pandemic, mid pandemic. People were getting used to, I like my own private bathroom. Oh, I don't have to go 90 minutes into downtown. Maybe I can live somewhere else where the rent is lower or I have a little bit more trees and open space.
True.
Did
It's
that happen
work-life
also in
balance too,
Paris?
right? It's work-life balance. I mean, nothing stops you from working super early in the morning and taking a shower 2 hours later. Nobody's gonna
Sure.
know, but the work
Right.
is gonna be done, and then you can, I don't know, like do laundry and then go get your kids and prepare dinner and still work. So
Right.
you're super efficient all the time. But eventually, if you look at the number of hours of work that you do when you're working from home, you're exhausting yourself because there's nonstop of that. And I was talking to a colleague today who does. She's single. She doesn't have any children, and it's even harder for that type of population to put themselves a stop to work, right? Because they
Sure.
feel like, well, I don't. Well, maybe I can do that call even late with the U.S.
Yeah.
It's
I don't have
okay.
any kids or
I don't have
nothing to
any
hold me
kids.
down or a spouse or whatever. I could be
Yeah.
up at late at midnight answering emails.
And I
That's
have to
okay.
tell people, yeah, that are like it happens a lot to like men and women alike that they really gonna push themselves really hard, even like very young population where they really want to show off that they want to work and they're still available. And
Yep.
now we have great technology to do that. I mean, we were talking about like being a little bit isolated with great camera, but we have some fantastic headsets now. I mean, I have one. Let me go get it.
Sure, sure.
I
And
know
while you're setting that
I know
up,
you guys have this fantastic technology. We can bring like the products like on a whim.
yes, yes.
Oh,
Why
that was
not?
awesome.
Why not? Let me see.
Uh,
Let me give you.
that's
Let me
one of my
get.
favorite.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. And look at this guy. I mean, this
You're
one you can really
aggressive. You are
stretch.
aggressive with that
Wow.
headset.
So
You
that's
can,
gonna work well if
exercise.
somebody takes it home, right? They need it to withstand some abuse, right? I see you kind of twisting and turning it there, right?
Yeah, but this is what we do. I mean, we go and we drop them on the floor. I mean, this is the Voyager, the Poly Voyager Focus 2. It has a great boom. It has like so much technology embedded in the boom. And I make calls on the train with this guy.
What? What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You can. Yes. You can I mean, I've been into really funky situation that I will not mention here
Hmm.
because that could be held against me. But
Yep. Yep.
nonetheless, you can trust this one to do whatever you want. Nothing is going to be retransmitted. People sometimes they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky to be working from home," and you're like, I'm kind of like on the train right now."
I'm on the
And then
train.
you turn on the video, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're on the train. That's awesome. This is really the best.
I
This
I
is so
love that. I
impressive."
love that. I love it. It's as if you went through our YouTube channel because we've got a really funky test we did a while back ago with that same headset
Yeah.
outside running. I took my dog and kid and we ran around a soccer field with it to kind of just prove a point, kind of like what you're saying. Another
Yep.
one that if you want to go check out, if you want to see what that actually sounds like, go ahead and check out on our YouTube channel the Poly Voyager Focus 2 and check out those demos. So,
Just yesterday,
Yes.
I was meeting with Rolando. We were on video. He had that Focus 2 on his head, and he was interrupted by his son. So his son came, he was just off frame and like half in frame, half off frame. And I could tell that he was talking because Rolando was kind of looking at him, and I could hear one side of the conversation. But he was not further away than 3 feet from the microphone on that headset. And I couldn't hear him in the background. I could kind of tell that there was something there, but it was keeping. I can see how that would be good in a noisy home office or in
Oh.
a noisy train.
Mhm.
I was blown away by the noise cancellation on that microphone.
It's true. And you know what, Dave? I mean, some people might be working along with a partner in the same house. I don't have an office. That's why I'm here in my living room.
Yep.
mhm.
But when I work on my kitchen table and then I have my daughters asking me to help them out. with a homework and I'm in a call, I mean, I know that people will see them. I could always put a background in, like they wouldn't
It's a great
see
background. Who
them.
wouldn't want to have that background behind them that you've
I
got?
That's
know.
good.
But at the same time, nobody hears what they say. So
Right.
it's
Good point.
it's really impressive. You have to test it out, and thank you for saying that. And just remember, you guys, if you have, I mean, I know you know, but for the people that might be listening to what we're talking about right now, the show, do upgrade your systems because they're working better after the upgrades. If you'd rather have something inside your ears, like little earbuds, such as
Mm.
these guys, I
Yep.
upgraded them
Huge fan.
recently,
Oh,
and
the Voyager
yeah,
Voyager 360.
I
Love the
mean,
display on it. I love it.
yes.
You know what I like? I really like about this. If we're
Tell
gonna
me.
nerd out for a second here, the display is a virtual mute button, and I've found that it's just so I have them in my ear, and I don't have to look for the mute. I don't have to do I don't have to do anything. I don't have to grab for clicking the mouse or the keyboard or any of that. I just boop, and it's especially when you're using it on Teams or Zoom or any of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
because it integrates with that, makes life easier. So I can get up, walk around my computer, and mute myself from the button that's right on the display, and
Yep.
it mutes everything out, and then if I got to talk, I can just unmute by hitting that button there. So that is just like a genius feature that you guys came out with that I haven't seen anywhere.
I got to tell you tell you my favorite thing. My favorite feature about the Poly Voyager 360 Plus. I think I got that right.
Haha.
There's a sensor in them. If I'm listening to so sometimes this happened last night. I'm listening to a Huberman podcast, and the guest, I wanted to hear this entire podcast from beginning to end. I had one earbud in my ear, and I was preparing dinner. Someone from my family came into the kitchen, and I wanted to have this conversation. So I took the earbud. I didn't have the case. I didn't even have my phone on me. It was just the earbud. And when I took it off and put it in my pocket, it paused the podcast for me. So I know that it left off exactly where I stopped listening. So I don't have to guess, hey, did I hear that whole podcast with Huberman?
Yeah.
So it has that sensor in it. And then what's so cool, after the conversation, they walk out of the room. I'm by myself again. And I just put it in my ear, and then it just resumes. It just picks up and starts playing exactly where I was. And that blows me away. That's great.
It's pretty cool, huh? And even in calls, I mean, we're talking about calls in Teams or Zoom. They're like the sound quality is so good, and it's not intrusive. I mean, let's talk a little bit about fashion. Some people really don't like having headsets over the head,
Sure.
and
Right.
that
This
is
is true.
definitely more modern. So for ladies that have long hair, or even men, or whomever has long hair, having something in your ears that is a bit more modern again, just to have has great professional features. You can use them. And here is a little story, because of course we're friends and we love taking our customers out to dinner. And we did take our customers out to a very fancy dinner, and it did take 2 hours. Yes. And obviously I had to be in a call, and we're stepping out of the restaurant, and I'm thinking, I have to take this call because I don't have time. And I had back-to-back calls. So I used actually my Voyager 360 outside. It was raining, and the person that was over video with me could not hear anything around.
Wow.
Not the rain or the customers that are still with me that I had to apologize to. Like, I'm sorry, I have to take this call. And I actually continued on another call in the taxi cab. So I will not use these on a train. Okay? Definitely not. But if you have some surround noises around you, and you really like that look and feel of very discreet little earbuds, these are right for you. And they have tons of features, as you mentioned. I really like that little screen too, without having to look for your phone, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, super cool. So as we talk, we're talking modern, we're talking luxury. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you heard of the Expensify luxury lounge experiment?
Never. What is that?
Rolando, do you want to dig into this with some of the video that we have?
Heck yeah!
So I'll cue
Heck
it again.
yeah.
The
This is another one.
just photo. So the Expensify luxury lounge experiment.
So did you know that Expensify is a SaaS platform, right? So that's their thing. But what they wanted to do was incentivize, entice, and bring office workers back to the office in their San Francisco offices. So they had a genius idea of making an ultra Uber work slash lounge that they dropped a cool $250 million on to put this lounge together, right? And the so you just paid a $9, very like easy $9 membership the employees did a month to be able to access that lounge and also customers. And that experiment didn't last very long. As a matter of fact, just 2 weeks ago, the company behind that lounge closed it down, even though they dropped almost $250,000 to put this thing in place.
Yeah, it was about I think it lasted like 6
Why
months.
do you think this lounge that which is ultra Uber, they had, let me just describe what they had. They had fresh cappuccinos served. And at 5 p.m., they would do a saber of champagne to
Well,
toast.
forget about it. People were not working. They were having fun.
But why? All right. So they're having fun. This is not work. This is fun. Do you? Again, you're the user person that you're in touch with users.
Yes.
This should be in theory something that should work. Bring people back to the office, and it didn't accomplish that goal. So much so that they closed it down last week.
I'm going to tell you a story that actually happened in our office. We have a special room that's called the relaxation room. It has couches, and we have a huge screen that you can actually play games on. We have a football table. Okay, we never go there because we have to work. We're too busy working. We don't have time to go there. We never use that room. The only time that I go into that room is when I'm so tired that I just need a 5-minute piece all to myself. And I know that nobody goes there, so I can just rest for a few minutes and have some quiet time. That's the only time that I go there. And when people like really feel like a little bit achy someplace or they're not feeling well, they actually go to that room. But it's never used either. People gather at the coffee machine.
Do you find that fascinating? You know, if you were to ask me or ask any employee that works in the corporate environment today, and you say, what could we do from an either design perspective, comfort perspective, ease of work, make it so that it's easy for you to work, enjoyable to be there, have some of the creature comforts you probably may not have at home, so that could entice people, and you put all these things together, what are we missing? What are companies missing? Because we've got two good, really high profile examples here where WeWork can't get any more ultra luxury from an commercial office perspective, and this other one where they dropped $250,000. I mean, what are we missing here if we're designing and we're advising companies on the user experiences that did not bring the droves of people back to the office as anticipated?
I think although people might not feel bad about spending 20 minutes 5 times a day at the coffee machine and chit chat, they still feel like they're working. So it does not make them feel guilty. You see what I mean? If they go into a different room doing something else, they're going to feel like, oh my God, it's like, we're outside of work. And we're doing really, we're not taking a proper break. This is not right. But if you have a nice coffee area with food and nice chairs, this is what we have. And I know that it works, that area. People are going to gather there naturally to grab a bottle of water or a cup of tea or coffee. And each and every one of us once in a while brings out pastries and whatever you want, for snacks. It's a way where we can gather, but then we're going to split naturally to get back into our calls and do our things without,
Hmm.
it's almost like a natural flow of work. It's not outside work where people are going to start feeling like they're doing something almost like wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what am I doing here? No, I'm not supposed to be doing that. You know?
Hmm.
What do
Go on,
you
Dave.
think?
I think if are you well, what's your opinion on the WeWork spaces? So yes, I don't think video games and foosball tables in every corner, but just an area that's couches, comfortable seating, no walls, but a table, kind of an area for people to brainstorm. You put a nice leather chair out there, I'm all in. If I can be kind of quiet, I have a space. If I have a big leather chair, I love that idea. But they're obviously investing. It was an experiment. It was $250,000. They wanted to lure people into the office with luxury amenities.
All right, let me ask you a question. I have a very nice couch, and I love my
Mhm.
couch. It's beautiful. It's leather. Why would I go somewhere else to use another beautiful leather chair if I didn't have some of my colleagues there to talk to? Which which means that we have to organize ourselves to meet in that spot on the day of. Over here, I mean, when I talk to some of the colleagues and partners that I have working for Cisco or working for Microsoft, they're working from home all the time, and they miss that bonding with their colleagues. They really do, because they're
Okay.
Right.
constantly behind their computer. But if you really want to meet with people, and if you don't have an office where you could go there and you don't plan that out, it's not going to happen. People are going to stay working from home.
I love that. Okay. So it has to be intentional. That's
Yes.
what I hear you saying.
Mm.
The gathering of people, if you leave it to just be organic, like, oh, whenever I'm just walking down the hall to go that means you may not necessarily meet up with a bunch of colleagues. It's and you hear that expression being thrown around a lot that,
Well,
oh yeah, the water cooler conversation. That doesn't happen all the time, very frequently. It does happen, but it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen 4 times a day or 10 times a day. It may happen, it may not. But if you're intentional about, hey, 1 o'clock, we'll have lunch together. What do you think about that? And then maybe organic conversations that. So I hear you saying it has to be more intentional than just spontaneous organic conversations that could be kind of random. Is that about right or am I wrong?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, in the office, I go probably the most with just a couple of other coworkers. But it's always nice when people come in because they know that there always be other people, and then we can go have lunch together, and then we just like spontaneously go together. It's not planned, like you say, it's organic, but at least we have that main entry point where to meet.
Mhm.
And I think that's what it is that people need. This is what makes them want to go back into the office, having almost like a family into the office, people that you can
Mm.
talk to and have a good laugh. Just
Wow.
sometimes, especially laughing, is just that's the best medicine ever. Just talking nonsense about the world makes it definitely more approachable. I mean, there's so much craziness happening in out there just to make nonsense jokes about things and being a little bit absurd. It's just you get out of the office feeling like it was worth it. That was it. It was worth it. It was worthwhile. I got to see this person, that person. We had a good laugh. We had a good lunch. It was great.
Do you think that so today, right? Let's just use the phrase post pandemic because that's what a lot of people are using today. Post pandemic, some people are not getting that when they go to the office. I know if, there's a really good researcher, Professor Nick Bloom of Stanford. He does a lot of research now on remote work, or he has been for decades now. And one of the things he says about the experience today is that people want to, when it comes to their priorities. Now, the priorities are different than they were today, 3 years ago or 5 years ago. So they cite that my priority now is to work somewhere meaningful and to be able to have a little more flexibility when it comes to things outside of work. Where that before that was number 4 or 5 or 6, and it was here. It was generally all about work. Life is all about work. So pay me the most. That used to be the number one thing that
Yeah.
people rated. Now that has gone down to 2 or 3, whereas now my priority is maybe a little bit more non-work hours. I want it to mean something, and this has changed the way we work, and the future of work reflects that. I've seen some news articles where Google is reducing their leasing office profile, so they're reducing projects where they're developing stuff. Amazon HQ2, which is in my backyard here in Northern Virginia, they were going to build out another tower. That's on hold because even the first tower that went up, it's not being utilized nearly as much. Is the need for rethinking the amount of office space something you're hearing from the enterprise folks that you're talking to?
Yes, definitely.
Mm.
The business district where I work right now has tons of empty office spaces. They do. And a lot of companies come because they need to move out. And usually it's to smaller offices and further out into the suburbs of Paris because of that. I mean, it is crazy. You're talking about sometimes 3 million a year in lease for an office that's not that huge. Sometimes it could be just one floor out of a building. So imagine if you have 3, 4 floors. It's
Indeed.
a building. It's huge. So definitely, yeah. And reworking of those spaces because you still need those boardrooms, but there is a need also for much smaller spaces for 4 to 5 people, and sometimes just individual like little areas.
And what about some of the fun stuff? Bars and the foosball table and the Champagne Fridays. Are people thinking that this is a new idea? Like, hey, you know what? If we gave some cappuccino machines, that'll really bring them in. If we put some new leather couch, that's going to bring them in. Are you seeing that on your side?
They don't talk so much about it, but definitely coffee is one thing. If you have a coffee machine that's broken, it's almost like telling people there will be no fries for lunch. It's cause for a main riot and strikes all over the place.
Let me ask you, because you all have access to great coffee being in France.
Yes.
And you probably don't do what we do. And you've been out here in the States, so you know what the typical coffee machine is, the one where you pull out this big
brown
tray
water.
and you drop just a bunch of ground things and you put it back in.
That kills your stomach. So
do you all use the same coffee machine, or you guys on cappuccino where you got the dials and everything? I'm just curious.
We don't have the dials, but we have the little capsules. With
the pods.
Lavazza coffee. I mean, I don't know, sorry if I can't say their names, but Italian coffee. Yeah, those are really good.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering because I know the standard for coffee over there is not what it is here, and you guys think of it just like I've heard sewer water being thrown around, as a term for American style coffee.
It's very diluted. But then again, if you go to Italy, if you guys have tasted real Italian coffee, it's like super small and it's very, very strong and absolutely delicious. Italians make fantastic coffee. When you go out there on vacation, you can't drink. I mean, last time I went to Venice with my daughters, I was like, coffee. It's like, Mom, again, yes. It's so good.
I loved it. I was out in Rome a couple years back and loved the cappuccino, loved the coffee, loved the gelato. Even you know what surprised me the most? Not even the coffee or the gelato, which was phenomenal because I went during the summer, so it tasted awesome, was that you can get pizza by the pound, essentially. They'll cut it to the smallest piece that you want. They'll throw it on the scale, and that's it. You want that? Cool. You want bigger? We'll cut you half of the pizza pie and give it to you. And that's just like a unusual concept here in America. You get it by the slice, or buy the pie. That's it.
True. Yes, that's true. But remember, though, I mean, because you're a tourist, and they'll forgive you, but you cannot in Italy, as an Italian, have coffee with milk past 3 p.m.
Really? Why is that?
No, this is
Why?
something. This is just you don't do that.
Really?
You
Tell
don't.
me. Why?
Because it's like a heavy thing for breakfast. Like in the afternoon, you have like the nice ristretto cafe, you know, like something real small, very strong, and that's it. Just remember, okay?
Whoa. I'll have to remember that. That's
Mental note.
definitely a pro tip if I heard one, Dave.
No cappuccino after 3 p.m. They'll forgive you.
Well, what would you say, as we move into the future? What is from a company perspective now? If you put on your HP/Poly hat and you're talking to clients, where is the future going from a technology perspective? What can we look forward to that would improve, let's say, the in-home experience? And we talked a lot about the office, the corporate office side and sitting in a newer design. What about the home user that's, like you said, they're at home? We talked a little bit on the toys like the Voyager Focus 2, the P15. Where's the future of that? Where's that going?
Well, there's definitely some AI goodies that are coming our way. I mean, we were talking about that beautiful introduction that Eddie made for me.
Yes.
It is so impressive. Like, can you think about everything else that's going to come up in the future with AI? AI is, to me, something really, really super exciting. A bit scary, but I think we're entering a real like revolution of the human race with this artificial intelligence and how I think technology is really going to help us out doing better things quicker with less failures. We were talking about the many interruptions that is causing issues sometimes, and emails that we might have been writing, or like, I don't know, you're filling out like a cell in an Excel sheet and it's wrong.
Right.
Or having 3 or 5 different things that you're doing at the same time, and you're going to do them wrong.
Oh, love that term. That's context switching, classic context switching.
It is. We had a coach one time doing that for us. It's like, okay, you write down like a string of number, and then I'm going to like do the same thing, but I'm going to disrupt you all the time. And then you look at the result, and all the numbers were mumble jumble. And that was a proof. It's like, you think you can do many things at the same time. You're wrong. Because you're going to do them, but you're going to do them with a lot of errors. And he was right.
That is true. Dave, what's the number that we cited that Microsoft says about 1,200 times or 3,000? I can't remember the exact number of times the average worker does context switch. Was it 1,200?
So
it was
the average worker switches between 22 apps 1,200 times daily.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, and we're not aware of it as a person that's on the computer all day long. You're just not aware that that's happening. But cognitively, that load takes a task on workers working from home or from the office, for that matter.
I mean, if you ask me personally, where I would see AI really helping me out, like all those thoughts that just like come and bother you all the time about, did you do this? Did you do that? I picture that thought process as like a very old lady with those tiny glasses, like in the 1950s, like,
with the
and she's like,
ones?
did you do this? Did you think about your daughter's like presents? Did you call your mother? And like all these things. And then there was like it was an Oxford study, if I'm not mistaken, that was saying like, park those thoughts and write them down. Because if you don't write them down, they're going to be like swirling around your head and bothering you. And I'm thinking, how about AI helps you out with that, being your personal assistant, saying like, just on your phone, just look for a present for my daughter. Like she likes Harry Potter books. Like, come up with some stuff, order them on Amazon, for crying out loud. And it's done. Can you imagine? I would love having a personal assistant. I told my daughters that the other day. It would be so great. Because
with Neuralink, some people say our best thoughts come to us when we're in the bathroom or when we're laying in bed. But if I can't reach for a pencil, I have to convince myself that what I was thinking wasn't something I should have been thinking. But get some Neuralink in your brain, and then you just
I know.
will it to be done.
I've
It's
been thinking
definitely
about that too. I would love to record my dreams because sometimes I come up with some fantastic art pieces. I swear.
well, so you're into art.
Yes, very much
Who
so. Like I drew that one, and everything else that's
who's
around
your
me.
favorite artist of all time?
Probably Edward Hopper.
I'm not familiar with him, but
Oh,
I just
come on, you
I'll have
know
to
Edward.
I'll have to ask. Maybe Eddie could tell us, could give us some works on Edward Hopper.
This guy.
Ah,
Oh,
looky.
wait, did he paint the New York diner picture?
Yeah,
Yes. All right.
that's
Nice.
the guy.
Man.
Yeah.
That's the guy. You know it. It's
interesting.
amazing. Amazing. A lot of people think that it's very sad and lonely. I just think it's very peaceful. It's so beautiful. I love these art pieces. And I went to an exposition that he had done in Paris, that was in Paris actually, dead obviously, of his watercolors that were just superb, striking in colors, beautiful. So, and I love Rothko as well.
Okay. Good Rothko.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. So Ori's got there on the
That's the
screen.
one. You're such an
We're on-
amazing. Yeah, look at you, Ori. You're so great. Here I am. I have the. I found
There it is.
I said New York. I said New York diner, and then it says Phillies on the outside. So that's
Better
a
colors
faux
on that
pas.
one Ori shirt.
But Phillies could have been. I know there was Phillies blunt. There may be something, or Phillies cheese stick sandwiches. So who knows? It could have been in the Phillies or New York. I'm not exactly sure.
But you knew who that was.
Yeah. Well,
Awesome,
my son,
Dave.
Yeah, my son was just showing me that picture like last week, and he said, "Have you
Really?
ever?" Yeah, and he said, "Have you ever seen this?" I said, "Yes." I believe there's been 1,000 memes made out of that where they just kind of replace some of the people. And he's like, "No, but do you know who the artist is?" And I said, "No." And then he told me, and I said, "That doesn't ring a bell." And then here we are, 2 weeks later, and now he's one of your favorite artists. So how about that?
Hopper.
Nice, Dave. You get a clap, Dave. That's a clap.
Give his name. What is the artist's name again?
Edward Hopper.
Got it. Thank you. I'm going to go tell my son how smart I became today.
So, Ophelie, what do you want to leave us with today as we wrap this episode? And any thoughts, anything that's on your mind, tips, tricks, or anything else? I leave it up to you. You have the floor.
I feel like we still have so many more things to cover, you guys. Like I think technology again can, it has to be for human beings to use and to be more effective with. Okay, we're not trying to make technology to bother people or to make their life complicated. Although today I was kind of fighting with my printer, almost. Right? But it is also up to us, to all the makers, to really try and level to most of the people who are not techies and make it simple for them to use. And I have to say that a lot of HP has done a lot of videos to show people, how to use something, because sometimes that's what you just need to see something. I'm lucky to have a great colleague that's always there to help me out. She's like, "Oh, Bob, please, I'm struggling here," and he's like, he's the guy who actually taught me also how to connect electricity for me to hang up my lighting. So, but you need people. Technology is great, but you don't have to forget that people are there as well. And we should not be losing that connection like we're doing right now. I don't know if maybe one day we'll have a chance to meet in person, but that technology that we're using right now is making us have a great time. We laughed,
Yes.
we exchanged thoughts, and I think it's wonderful. And that's what's great to be a human being, is to be with each other, right?
Well, I will take you up on that offer, and the next time I'm on a flight over to France or the UK, because I certainly would love to to hang out. Maybe you could show me some coffee shops. I am dying for a
Really?
kick-ass
Coffee? I'll
croissant.
bring you to the wine, okay? Just drink some
To
champagne.
wine country?
Champagne and wine.
Yes, I'm down.
Wine and
I'm
dine.
totally in.
Okay?
Absolutely.
You're on.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So we've had the wonderful, the lovely Ophelie Harbonnier. Did I say that?
C'est bien, Ophelie Harbonnier. Thank you.
Ophelie
Yes.
Harbonnier. And she's dropping wonderful knowledge about the user experience in the office. She's told us about the future of what's coming out. You know, AI definitely will play more of a role as we move forward, and it'll be, I think, in part of all of our lives, whether we like it or not. It's just kind of the way the technology is going. That's just what's going to happen. And if you want to nerd out a little bit more, and you want to find out how to up your game when you're using technology like this, and you want to look your best, we had a recent episode with the one and only Neil Flooster from Crestron, as well as Phil. I forget his. Oh, and I'm going to botch his name. Dave, you want to take a stab at Phil's last name?
Eggebretson.
Eggebretst. Phil, come back on. Fix our pronunciation of your name. But I know Phil and Neil will both drop some serious knowledge on how you can easily up your video presence in our episodes. So go check those episodes out. Dave and I will join you in those episodes. Now, for all those that are on YouTube, go ahead and check out these videos that I've got on the screen. Dave and I will also join you in those episodes so that you can grow your business faster. Dave and I will see you in there.